icon for teenagers back when smoking a cig in the bathroom was the new trend, or putting more effort into your hair than your grades. The king of rock, already at his high, move aside Elvis, there's a new rebel in town, and his name is James Dean. His attitude as hot as his red jacket. Usually seen leaning on a car with a cig in his hand and a don't care attitude written all over his face. James Dean made very few movies, and each movie grew his fame bigger than the last. We're going to take a look at his three biggest movies: East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant. What made him so good? Why did kids watch and love him? The real question is, what made James Dean great?
You say one thing, he says another, and everybody changes back again.
That's a fine way to behave.
In East of Eden, he plays a young boy who needs acceptance of his father. In Rebel Without a Cause, he needs acceptance of the cool kids in town to fit in. And in Giant, he needs to be accepted into the rich club so he can feel good about himself when he sleeps at night. He's lost and tried to find himself in all three movies. In East of Eden, it's his identity and who he is. And the same deal in Rebel Without a Cause, where he runs around fighting against his parents, making sure he's the man and ain't chicken.
Call me chicken.
In Giant, he finds and loses his identity through money. You can see in his eyes he's lost and just needs an accepting hug of his father. In the end of East of Eden, he literally tries to buy his father's love, and when his father doesn't want the money, he just hugs him. His awkward body language of a younger kid, not fully developed into adulthood. The way he runs in the beginning of the movie with his hands in his pockets, like he knows something that no one else does and is afraid to tell anyone. Throughout the whole movie, you can see how the young boy is trying to find his confidence, finding love, why he can't be good like his brother is, or be accepted by his father, who's the one person he truly cares about. But all the world keeps giving him is cold, hard rules of either the Bible or what his father finds right and wrong. And if you know James Dean, he doesn't like rules. In Rebel Without a Cause, his eyes hold a weight to them. The weight of his parents, the weight of his father not being a man and not fighting back, the weight of his problems he's created with all the past towns he lived in, the weight of his mother using him as an excuse to move. But his body is free, like a bird flying to test how high he can actually fly. Things seem to go smoothly in the new town of LA. He only gets into a knife fight to prove he's good enough to be part of the cool kids group. Then does a chicken run, and it was looking like he was making friends. Well, until Buzz went off a cliff, killing himself on accident.
Just turn the handle, Buzz. Maybe hit the things called brakes. Are there no brakes in cars in the 60s? Just hit the brakes.
He does stand up to his father and mother, getting it all off his chest. You can see in the whole scene, it's like more and more gasoline being thrown onto a fire. After the fight, everything seems lighter. His eyes don't hold a certain weight to them, and his body is more open and free. He found some friends, and in the end, he loses one to authority.
I got the bullets! Look!
In Giant, he's a poor land worker for the rich guy down the dirt road. And at the end of the dirt road is his boss, Rock Hudson. Again, you can see James Dean's character takes the weight of his lifestyle, being worn down and rugged. His unbuttoned shirt, his hat always tilted, and he's always tired, needing to lean on something to look cool. He's a working man, struggling since day one and don't care what anyone else thinks. So much so, Rock Hudson doesn't want him on his land anymore and wants to get rid of him.
Thought I fired him off this place.
James Dean is like a bad stain on Rock Hudson's white button-up shirt. But James Dean really just wants to fit in with the rich. You can see in this scene just how awkward he really is under that tough, leathery tan. Stumbling, trying not to look dumb, looking down, fiddling with his lasso, and so on. And the same with Elizabeth Taylor's scene. It's either that he knows he has a crush on her, or that she knows that he has a crush on her, and makes him even more awkward because he knows she knows. His body goes into itself, and his eyes can't sit in one place because he's so nervous. He's shy. He's just a shy kid and just doesn't want to show it. But suddenly he strikes gold, liquid gold. And the first thing he does, right in a Rock Hudson's rich, smug face, Now the rich can't even avoid him and get rid of his antics. He's now part of the club. He's now made of money and physically wearing it to show them like a badge of honor. It's not till the back end of the movie we see James Dean's character again. He has all the money in the world from his successful oil drilling business and is opening up a hotel. But, you guessed it, he's not happy. While he uses the bottom of the bottle to fix his problems, he just creates more. If he can't have Elizabeth Taylor, what's the next best thing? Her daughter? You can tell at the beginning of the scene with her that he's strong, confident, takes up a lot of space. He's cool with the cigarette and sunglasses inside at night. Impresses her with the amount of power and money he has. But that the shadow of his past still haunts him, luring over him, covering him, making him hate who he is. He wasn't born into money, and that he doesn't fit in, and he will never fit in, and he knows this. The closer and closer he gets to asking Elizabeth Taylor's daughter, the more and more of his old shy self comes back. And when she turns him down, what does he do? He drinks his problems away. And when Rock Hudson tries to fight him later because his son's wife was being mistreated by James Dean's employees, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth the fight. So then, what does he do? He drinks his problems away, and he's so drunk he can't even do the opening speech for all the people that came to see him for his hotel opening. And when everyone's gone, he's left alone. He's all in the dark, by himself, once again. He lived on the land when he was poor by himself, doing what he was good at, being him. And he does the same thing when he's older and rich and a drunk. Overall, you can see that all the characters need this acceptance, this idea, a thing that they look up to. For East of Eden, it was his father loving his brother, and that he was the perfect example of a good person, and James Dean's character wasn't. Or that Hug in Rebel Without a Cause, it's the idea of being a man, being good, standing up for what he believes in, not being chicken. And in Giant, it's living as Rock Hudson does. He gets all the money. He becomes part of the club. He has more money than anyone. He's cool. He's rich. He's well known. He's famous. He has everything he wants. But the one thing he doesn't realize that Rock Hudson has is love. He wants love. He wants Elizabeth Taylor. He wants Elizabeth Taylor's daughter. He wants to feel love, to be loved, to give love, to have children, to raise the children, see them grow up. And that's the one thing James Dean's character missed. He just didn't add love into the equation. And it made him sad, alone, and wealthy. As I watched all three of the movies, you really see him grow as an actor, and he really does a great job in all of them, especially in Giant. He showed great potential of being one of the best method actors. It's a shame that he died so young and we couldn't see him develop into more complex roles, but he left us with great work in such a short period of time, which is hard for anyone to do. The way his eyes told the story as if it was like you could read the lines from his eyes before he even said it. Or how his body embraced the character, telling us what kind of person the character is before even getting to know them through the journey of the movie. He left us too soon, but his wildness, curiosity, and willingness to go into places no one at the time had really explored is really what made James Dean great.